average student just walking around and going to classes and texting on your phone. You're athletes, so you're asking a lot of your bodies throughout the day, so you have to fuel. So breakfast is that first opportunity after you've been fasting all night long to get fuel into your bodies. Carbohydrates are key. Really, really important to get good whole grain carbohydrates into your system. And if you have it with protein, that's even better, because then it will digest more evenly and you won't find yourself really hungry an hour later if you have the carbohydrates and the protein. So some examples of that would be like whole grain muffins or whole grain cereals, throw low-fat yogurt in there, low-fat cheese. You could do like a turkey sausage or some kind of chicken, perhaps a bagel sandwich on a whole wheat bagel, adding some egg and some cheese and some lean protein. That's perfect. But you definitely need to eat breakfast and get your body going for the day. Have a super snack. Again, you guys are not the average students. You're asking a lot of your bodies. They need extra fuel more than just the average person sitting around not doing much. So you guys got to be prepared. So you don't want to be at school and find yourself getting overly hungry and it's not time for lunch and you don't have anything on you. So you need to fuel your bodies all day long. So pack some things with you. If you're traveling for a meet, make sure you pack some things with you because you just don't want to get to that point where you're starving and you don't have anything to eat. Some good power snacks would be trail mix, dried fruit, yogurt. You can do cut up veggies and dip. That could be peanut butter, or it could be some kind of yogurt or like ranch dressing, low fat type of dip. A turkey sandwich, that's perfectly fine. PB&J, that works as well. It has the protein and the carbohydrates. You could do whole grain crackers with cheese. These are just examples. There's a lot of different things that work. There's protein bars, that would be okay too. But you just want to make sure that you have something with you so you're not going into a practice or going into a meet starving. Don't forget the fluids, that's really important. It seems like these days you guys do a really good job of drinking water. A lot of kids are walking around with water bottles these days, and I think that when I was in school, we walked around dehydrated all the time because nobody ever had a water bottle. You did not drink water like we do today, so that's a good thing. So you're already there. But you need, if you weren't doing strenuous exercises, you need about 6 8-ounce glasses a day, and that's an estimate, and it depends on the person and how big you are. But that's about how much you need, and then for every half hour of strenuous exercise on top of that, you need another 8 ounces. So just kind of think about how long you're going to be practicing and figure out how much extra fluids that you need to replace what you're losing. And that's important for you to function at your highest capability. Is water okay? Yeah, water's perfect. Now, if you're going over an hour of strenuous exercise, you may need something else to help you replace the carbohydrates that you're losing. So that's when sports drinks come into play. So those are perfectly applicable for athletes. Again, somebody just sitting behind a desk or sitting at a computer and not really doing anything, not sweating, not working, do they need Gatorade or Powerade? No, because they don't need the extra calories or the carbohydrates. But for you guys who are working that off, you need the carbohydrates that's in a sports drink. Gels, you guys use the gels for the little chews? Yeah, those are appropriate as well once you reach, over an hour of strenuous exercise. If you haven't done them, I wouldn't try that on a meet day. Never try anything new on the day that you're going to compete because you just never know how it's going to go over with your system. So you want to save those for practice days. And you guys are track in the room, I think. But cross country, if you were going to run, half marathon, when you really get into that distance, that's when the gels can really come into play because you have to replace what you're losing when you're sweating and working your muscles and breaking them down. In a turkey sandwich, that would work too, but that might cause some digestive upset in the middle of a long run. So that's what the gels are good for because they give you that energy that you need and they're easily digestible. So they work. Let's see. Recharge after activity. This is really important, and I'm not sure that everybody does it, but within 15 to 20 minutes after your strenuous activity, after a meet, after you compete, you need to refuel your body. You've broken down your muscles, you've lost energy, you need to replenish that as quickly as possible. So within 15 to 20 minutes, when you're done, then you would want to maybe have one of the super snacks that I mentioned earlier or something to start refueling your body. So that's key. You don't have to go have a huge meal right then, but something within that time frame when you're through. And then 3 to 4 hours later, then you can have, your regular meal. That would be perfect. But do remember, soon as you're done, it's key to get that in your system pretty quickly so that your muscles are not trying to rebuild with nothing. There's been some hype, I don't know if you've heard, with chocolate milk and athletes and whether or not that's a good sort of refueling choice. Heard that research yet? Anyone? No? Yes? Yeah? Okay. It's perfect. Chocolate milk actually has low-fat or fat-free chocolate milk has the right blend of carbohydrates, and it has some sugar, which you need because you've lost, and it has protein that comes from the milk, and it's this perfect blend of carbohydrate and protein for rebuilding muscles. And it tastes good, and it's easy to drink, it's quick to drink, get into your system, so it actually works out really well. It's easily accessible, you can get it just anywhere. So there's been a lot of talk about chocolate milk, and that's a good choice for athletes. And it actually is. I remember do low fat or fat free, and that would work. That works perfect. Some take-home points. So your body needs fuel before, during, and after exercise when you're exercising at a rate and for an extended period of time like you guys do. Meals and snacks are necessary. You don't want to get to that point where you're overly hungry, you don't have anything. Lots of fluids, drink, make sure you're well hydrated. You cannot perform at your peak or your max without being well hydrated. So don't forget that. Refuel afterwards. Remember, 15 to 20 minutes, get something into your system. So your muscles can start to rebuild and start to replenish what you've lost. And then I would just never try anything, which I'm sure you know, and some of you probably learned the hard way, but never try anything new on race day, because you just never know how that's going to go over. And it just depends on the person as to whether you need 1 hour or 30 minutes or 2 hours after a meal before you can compete. Some people don't have any trouble with that, and others, they need a certain amount of time to digest that food before they can go out and run. So it's just experimenting, and that's what practice is for. You're not just for the physical activity, but for you to experiment, with new shoes or what you're going to eat before or after or during. And I believe that that's it.
Dietitian might be able to answer.
No questions. Okay, on.
What's the best thing to eat for a thrower? He's asking, what should a thrower, what's the best thing to eat for a thrower or like a lineman or somebody like that? What should they eat and how soon before?
Well, how soon before, that really depends on the person. You don't want to go into that starving. You want your body to be fueled and ready to go. But some kind of carbohydrate protein combination is perfect. And I have the list, and I'm sure we can make this presentation available to you guys so you have the notes that were on there. But it just, it depends. Whatever sounds good to you, whether that's, a whole grain muffin or a bowl of cereal or a turkey sandwich or a peanut butter and jelly or whatever. It's up to you. Just remember protein and carbohydrates. Was there a question back there? Did he steal it? Yeah. Read it.
Is it possible to drink too much water?
It is possible to drink too much water. It's really hard to do, but you can be overhydrated, and that can cause a real problem in your system as well. And we've seen, well, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's been like marathon runners and people who have drank too much and they get overhydrated. It can be really, really dangerous. So, not to get, graphic, but when you go to the bathroom, when you urinate, you want it to be yellow, not dark yellow, but not completely clear. Like a straw color. I'm sure y'all heard that before. Telling you that, but that's absolutely how you know if you're dehydrated or if you're hydrated or overhydrated. It should not be clear, and it should not be that dark yellow. So, there you have it.
Guys, a couple more questions.
To drink tea? Tea, that's a fluid. I mean, it is. It has lots of water, and it has, depending on if it's decaffeinated or not, caffeine can be a little bit dehydrating, but it's going to be minimal. So, I mean, that's, decaffeinated tea, that's absolutely a fluid source. And that's not what you want to drink all day. But yeah, but really when we say fluids, when you guys need to be drinking, you need to be drinking water, you can do sports drinks, but when you drink coffee, when you drink tea, even when you drink, Coke or Diet Coke, that has some fluid to it. And in food that week, that has fluid as well, so that counts. But for you guys who are, really exercising, you need that, you need water. Yes, sir, way in the back. No, there's a guy behind you. Oh goodness, I don't want to comment on the Red Bull 5-hour energy. I hesitate on those because there's things in them that are not regulated by, so you never know whether or not that's going to be helpful or it could be dangerous, so I would not endorse it. I would not.
Okay, if we have to miss a meal, which meal would you prefer to miss? Second part of the question is, what would be ideally how many times an athlete should eat during the day?
Ideally, how many times you should eat during the day? Definitely breakfast, and a mid-morning snack, a lunch, a mid-afternoon snack, and a dinner. Y'all eat more than that? Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, because y'all are all different, and you know how to regulate the energy that you're taking in. If you had to skip a meal, I just would not. I don't know which meal is best to skip for you, but certainly not breakfast, because just think about it. You've been fasting since the night before. You're working on nothing. Everything's digested. You have nothing in your system. So and even just to get your metabolism going, and we're not talking weight loss, but even people who want to lose weight, we tell them eat breakfast because you want to get your metabolism up and running at full capacity. And until you eat breakfast, it's not doing that. So certainly, that's one meal not to skip. Good.
Real quick, I need you to listen to me. I want to tell a story that Coach Hill and I dealt with in 2009. It was the first football game I coached in here at Parkview. We go to Chattahoochee High School, and we're getting ready to play Chattahoochee. We felt good about what we were going to do, but we noticed that about 5 or 6 of our kids that we were expecting to perform better seemed to be a beat off. And you know what I'm talking about. Something seems to be skipping. It's not quite working exactly correctly. Somewhat right. We talked to them at halftime because the quarterback, Khalid, who's going to be starting at Appalachian State this year, threw it a little high. The receivers weren't quite getting there. One of our running backs caught a pass out of the flats and it hit him in the hands and fell. He hadn't dropped anything ever. We talked to them. They all decided that they were going to drink a 5-hour energy because they felt like that would get them all jacked up before the game. So with your question about the energy drinks, I am going to tell you, she's already told you, a lot of those supplements that are going in those energy drinks are not approved by the FDA, or at least they've not been regulated, I should say. I guess they have to be approved if they're selling on the market, but depending on who's supposed to be governing that, there are some severe repercussions happening with people physically, kids dying that are drinking too many energy drinks because they think that it's giving them whatever edge to stay awake longer, study longer, whatever it is that they're trying to do. Let's give her another hand, please. Coach Ridley's got one more thing he needs to go over real quickly. Once he goes over this, we're going to be heading down. Please stop yelling